And we have to remember that the euro has only been around for about 15 years. So therefore, it's a relatively young currency. But at the same time, even though it's only been around for 15 years, it is a reserve currency of many countries. Many countries hold the euro as one of their reserve currencies. Now, if you were holding euros at the moment, you certainly want to be in a situation where the euro starts to unravel. And you'd be saying, what's going to happen to my reserve currency? And that, I think, is really sort of the issue that we should be looking at. And that is one of the reasons why I don't think Greece will ever leave the euro, because it would really show people what was going on. It's a bit like, you know, a Jenga block. You know the block that kids play. Oh, yeah. Now, Greece is one of those blocks. If you pull that one out, the whole Jenga block, the whole thing's going to fall. The whole thing's going to fall. And we don't really want to be in that situation.
Okay, fair enough. So you're an equities guy over at the Fool. What is the hedge? What is the equity hedge? Is there one?
Well, I think, you know, when you see days like today, when the market is actually dipped, and I jokingly said to you, if I wasn't here today, I would be...
filling your boots.
Well, I would be filling my boots, yeah. I mean, it is a buying opportunity, because, I mean, I look at, you know, what is going to happen over the next 5, 10 years.
Buy what, the U.S. equities or European?
Well, at the moment, you know, I'm looking at equities that have China exposure, because I still think that the China story is good. I think that China is going to be growing at around sort of maybe 7%, probably a bit less, you know, 6%, but that's still pretty good. And I just look at Chinese consumers, and I think, you know, Chinese consumers are feeling pretty confident at the moment.
Through A's or H's? Got to be H's.
Neither.
Neither? Through what? Proxies, indirect, Australia?
Correct, correct. No, not Australia. I mean, I'm looking at consumer stocks that are actually sort of targeting...
Selling to the Chinese market.
Selling to the Chinese market. So
I'm talking individual names.
Well, I mean, you're looking at Nestlé's for one. Okay. I don't hold stocks in Nestlé's, but I mean, that would be a good one.
Thank you.
Procter & Gamble's another one. I don't hold stocks in that one either. But I mean, these are companies that are targeting China at the moment. Okay. And you know, when I was recently in China, you only have to go around, you look at the name brands that people are wearing, they're all pretty snazzily dressed. And I think, you know, that is a sign, you know, that consumers are feeling quite confident.
Does it make more sense to focus on European based fast-moving consumer good names? You mentioned Nestlé.
Yeah.
So, on the view that, you know, regardless of what happens with Greece, the euro is heading south, further south.
It could very well do, yeah. And I think, you know, the euro is going to weaken for a number of reasons. First of all, because of quantitative easing, you know, that is going on in the Eurozone. So that is automatically going to push down the euro in the same way that it's pushing down the Japanese yen. And so going back, you know, to the China story, I mean, another way of playing it that I like playing it is through real estate investment trusts based in Singapore, targeting the Chinese market. And there are quite a few of those, yeah? So that's another way. I mean, you only have to go into the shopping malls there, and you can see, you know, the shopping malls are full.
Aren't they going to be, I mean, these are REITs, right? I mean, no matter where they're based. I mean, look, rates are going up. Aren't they going to be affected?
I don't think so, you know, because ultimately, if rates are going up, it means the economy is doing well. If the global economy is doing well, and that is another reason, you know, why the Eurozone needs to actually sort of get its act together, because we're getting growth in China now. Japan is starting to sort of show signs of growing. America is growing also. So we need the Eurozone. So those would be the 4 big engines in the world. America, Europe, Japan, and China. The 4 biggest economies. And if they all grow, I mean, it's going to be happy days are here again, you know, Martin.
REITs, ones based here with exposure to China, average yield is what?
Around sort of 5.7 to 6%. I mean, that's pretty good. And as far as...
And sustainable, growable? Or is that it? Is that as good as it gets?
No, I think, you know, as the economy in China starts to grow, I mean, these REITs will be able to ratchet up their rents, and more rents means more revenues means more profits, and more profits mean more distributable income to shareholders.
Answer me this, though, they're cracking down on property in China.
Well, the thing is, I mean, you look at the Chinese market. I mean, I was reading a story the other day about what's going on in Tianjin, and they're talking about, you know, there's massive ghost town. But at the same time, you have a look at what is going on in places like Beijing and Shanghai. I mean, these companies are finding it quite difficult to carry on operating in Beijing and Shanghai simply because the rents are so high. So eventually, they'll have to sort of get, I wouldn't say pushed out, but they will relocate to places like Tianjin, which is already ready-made for them. I mean, it's like Manhattan in China.
So what you're saying, safer prospects, if you're looking at REITs listed here with exposure to Chinese property, is look at REITs with assets that are more away from the coastal areas. Inland, secondary cities, etc., which are booming.
Well, all of them are pretty good. And the reason why I like the Singapore REITs is some of them are 100% focused on China, but there are others that have a diversified portfolio. So therefore, you know, they'll have exposure to Australia, the UK, Singapore, and also China.